14 Rights of domestic workers in Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia provides 14 rights to domestic workers, including the indemnity or end-of-service benefits to household workers. It is important to mention that Saudi labor law does not apply to domestic workers as their contract is governed by regulations for domestic workers. End-of-service benefits for household workers. According to Article 16 of the Regulations for Domestic Workers, household workers in Saudi Arabia have the right to end-of-service benefits according to the following calculation. 1 month's salary for 4 consecutive years of service. Right to have a contract. As per Article 4 of the Regulations for Domestic Workers, every helper has the right to have an employment contract with the following provisions. Monthly salary and the type of work and duties. Duration of the probation period. The contract duration and extension clauses. Obligations and rights of both the concerned parties. Agreed upon work. You have the right to refuse a work not written in the employment contract as per Article 2 of the Regulations for Domestic Workers. Moreover, the worker also has the right not to be assigned any work that is risky or may be harmful to their health or safety. The employer cannot sublet the domestic worker, or allow them to work for their own account. Payment of salary. As per Article 7(3) of the Regulations for Domestic Workers, the employer is obliged to pay the wage that has been agreed upon at the end of each Hijri month unless both parties agree differently to this on the written contract. Deduction of salary. Article 9. The employer cannot deduct a worker's salary except in the following 3 cases. 1. The cost of what they may have negligently or intentionally broken. 2. Any advance that they have received from the employer. 3. Due to a court decision. However, the deduction of salary in any of these conditions cannot exceed half of the monthly wages. Working hours. The helper employed in a household in Saudi Arabia must be given at least 9 hours of rest per day as per Article 7(6) of the Regulations for Domestic Workers. Weekends. All helpers are also eligible to get 1 day off every week as per Article 8 of the Regulations for Domestic Workers. Sick leave. All helpers are entitled to paid sick leave for 30 days every year as per Article 11 of the Regulations for Domestic Workers. The domestic worker has to prove their need for sick leave by an authorized medical report. Medical care. Article 12. Complete medical care will be provided to every domestic worker in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia in accordance with the rules and regulations that have been enforced and set in place by the Saudi authorities. Suitable housing. According to Article 7(5) of the Regulations for Domestic Workers, suitable residence or housing arrangement is the right for every household worker working in Saudi Arabia. Annual leave. According to Article 10 of the Regulations for Domestic Workers, you have the right to 1 month of paid annual leave after 2 years of employment service. Probation period. Both parties may agree to place the domestic worker on a probation period that cannot exceed 90 days as per Article 5. During the probation period, both parties have the right to terminate the contract without any fine or penalty on behalf of the domestic worker. It is also not permitted to put the same domestic worker on probation more than once unless both parties agree to that. Final exit ticket. Article 15. If the employment contract has expired or terminated by the employer for any illegal reason, the employer will bear the entire cost to send the domestic worker back to his home country, including the final exit ticket. Death of the employer. According to Article 14 of the Regulations for Domestic Workers, the contract expires in case of the death of the employer. In that situation, the domestic worker has the right to continue with the family of the employer or leave on a final exit visa.